Well, hi everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Sunday afternoon, and that normally means it's Soul Sunday. However, today I really gave some thought as to how viewers, my viewers in particular, might have been reacting to the shootings that have happened in the US. Now, I live in Canada, and I know the impact that it's had on me. And therefore, I thought, what is the best thing that I can do maybe to help my viewers? Now, what I wanted to do, although we normally do a Soul Sunday, hi there, Jody and Nana, what we normally do on Sundays is what I call a Soul Sunday broadcast, which brings it down. And I'm going to do that, but first I want to just demonstrate something. We know that all the thoughts we have travel through our emotional brain before they get to our reality. And for those of us who have issues with mental health, and I know some of my viewers do, and that's why I wanted to make sure that we talk to this a little bit. Just bear with me a second. I want to find a pen that works a bit better. That something like a shooting will cause you to be in here quite a bit. And so that is normal. All right. And I would ask, Nana's sitting in Canada as well. When you heard about the shootings, Nana, did you feel it, in your body? And Jody, I know that you did because I spoke to you earlier today. So understand that to be affected, to feel it is quite normal. All right, because what's happening is you're feeling that emotion. Now, does it make sense that if you happen to live in Ohio, do you think you'd feel it a little bit more? All right? And what about if you lived in Dayton, Ohio? All right, would you feel it even more? And what if you normally shop in that Walmart? And so what I want you to see is there can be layers of emotion. And I want to tell you that a lot of us, psychologically, did any of you think, I don't think I'm going to be shopping at Walmart this week? Especially as the newscast is busy saying it's a really good target because there are going to be an awful lot of people there and the lineups are solid. And therefore, and the layout is very similar in each one. So you can walk in, either turn left or right, and you've got sitting targets. And that's what I heard somebody say today. And I'm going, wow. So the one thing I would say from my rational brain is if you've got stock in Walmart at the moment, you might want to rethink that this week. All right, because what do I imagine is going to happen to the Walmart stock this week? Right? Not through any fault of their own, right? Just because some bozo, okay, Nana, just because some bozo walked in with a gun, had nothing to do with them, except there are those that will say, but wait a minute, it does have something to do with them. They allowed a guy with a gun to walk in. All right, so I do believe that, wherever you live, you're going to see a lot more security in Walmart. So what I want you all to understand is to get triggered, to feel it in your emotional side is quite normal. For those of you who have friends who talk about it and don't seem to be able to move away from it, make sure they get help, all right? Because if they get stuck in there, that is really dangerous for them. If people who might already have a mental illness, who now hear things that, oh well, wait a minute, they're saying this guy had a mental illness as well, so maybe I'm like that. Well, no, it's different. All right, and I want them to understand not all mental illnesses are the same. The fact that that these two people thought that it was okay to shoot innocent people, that doesn't mean that everybody with a mental illness thinks that. All right. So what I want those of you who got friends who are struggling a little bit mentally, to make sure they know they are not that person. All right? Make sure you reinforce the fact that they would never do that to another person. All right? And, that's important for them to know, because sometimes they haven't got to the rational part. Now, what I wanted to let you guys know is that you all know that I go shopping locally because, I normally do a vlog on my way there and another one on the way back. But what I want you to know, there was a shooting at my local mall this week. And I want you to know that because it's not just El Paso or not just Dayton, Ohio. It is also Surrey, BC in British Columbia. Now, as it so happened, the particular shooting in my neck of the woods was at the very place where I go shopping, not in the market, supermarket, but actually in the Starbucks lineup, if you can believe it. And so the thing that I want you to understand is that, how do I am I going to stop shopping there now? No. You see, my logic says is if there has been a shooting locally, I'm pretty sure they'll be some of the safest places to go to this week or any other week. Because what is the automatic knee-jerk reaction is we better step up security. So in a way, I want to tell anybody who lives in Ohio, and especially near Dayton, this probably is the safest week to go shopping because everybody will be stepping up their security. So do you understand? Now, how do you cope with this? Will I stop shopping at Walmart because of what I heard happen at Dayton? No, I won't stop shopping. But what I will do is I will make sure I'm a lot more aware of what is going on. I'm also going to make sure that if I'm in a lineup, that I'm going to be very clear as to if an emergency happened now, what is the nearest place I can get shelter, right? That is, even if it means going straight across and into the washroom, for example, maybe that's the fastest route out if something weird is happening. But what I would be doing is looking at, where can I shelter in place if I had to. So that is what I would recommend to anybody who is helping somebody who maybe is reacting to this. Help them know what to look for and what to do, but it's still okay to go shopping, all right? It's still okay to go outside of your house. Yes, I think that's, when I thought about it, Jody, what could I do to maybe help people? And I thought, there are going to be a lot of people triggered by this, especially because we had two in the space of nearly 12 hours. And the other thing I wanted people to know is don't quit, all right? I really want you to do this about don't give up. Don't give up on yourself, and don't give up on your country, and don't give up on your humanity, all right? One step at a time. One of the things that I found, I said to myself, and again, I want to share this in case it helps anybody, which is I realized as I heard about the local shooting that my whole being shifted, all right, that I could feel it in my body. And then I stopped and I went, wait a minute, Sal. A minute ago, you didn't have these feelings because you didn't know. And now you have these feelings because you do, but there is nothing that you can do to change what has already happened. Does that make sense? And so then I said, okay, so take a deep breath, okay? And just let the emotion go and be grateful that you were not near that Starbucks or that Walmart or whatever. And that will help me come out of emotion and into the reality that it has nothing to do with my reality. Now, Obviously, if you happen to know any of the people that were gunned down, or they are, third cousin 16 times removed, doesn't really matter. If it affects you in terms of family, think about what you can do, not what you can't do, right? You can't change what has already happened. Any more than I can change the fact there was a death in my circle of friends day before yesterday. I can't change that. It's done. So what can I do? All right. That's what I always think about. What can I do? Not what can't I do? I can't change and bring that person back to life. All right. What I can do is support the people I know were very close to them. I wasn't that close, but I know people that were. And so I will be doing extra support of those people who I know are close, that were very close. And I also will be aware of those waves, all right? We talk about that, the waves of emotion. When you are dealing with a loss of any sort, and it can be the loss of your security, some people will feel that you will get these waves, that you'll be fine for a little while and then it'll hit you again, and then you'll be fine for a little while. And, those waves of loss that most people have been through, either with a pet or a friend or a relative that has passed. We all know about those waves, and that's quite normal. And you need to know that that is quite normal. So I expect to have a little moment when I next go to my local shopping center to go get my groceries. And, I can assure you that I will consider that to be quite normal. Not that I'm being paranoid. Do you understand the difference? I'll just be a little bit sort of like, okay, fine, let me check the Starbucks lineup. Am I far enough away from it? It's just like, I think that's quite normal. All right. Not that you're being paranoid. So if anybody says, I'm so scared now because of what happened, I think that's okay, and let them know that's quite normal. How long do they want to stay there? That is the issue. And if they can't get themselves out of thinking about it, then they probably need help. And one of the things I remember was when Princess Diana got killed, that, it was on the night of my 50th birthday party. And I don't know whether it was because it was in the middle of my celebration party that it happened, or because I felt a great affinity with her for some reason. But I literally got sucked into the emotion of that for about 5 days. I don't know if any of you did, but I just couldn't get myself out of that grieving for her and the family and everything else. Okay, Nana, cheers. And so to me, it's like, be aware that some things will affect you more deeply than others. And that doesn't mean that you've got a major problem. All right. That just means that this one touched your soul. Yes, Jodie's saying that she did as well. All right. I think there were an awful lot of people around the world that literally took that very, very seriously. So remember, though, if you are already in, and this is the point that I want you to make, that if you are already in a place of depression, and then you have another thing come on top of that pushes you lower, all right, because the weight of the second thing, then make sure you get help. And just literally, if you need to, phone the local hospital and say to them, you are struggling with what's going on and you need some help in a hurry. And, they will help you. They'll get you to a medical professional. I had it happen once to me where something happened in a training that I was on. And it triggered me so badly that I literally was curled up on a couch, facing the back of the couch and whimpering. And I knew that wasn't normal. All right. I was literally huddled up like a child, and I was literally whimpering into the corner of my couch. And when I realized what I was doing, I went, wow, that is not normal. And I managed to find my phone, and I managed to dial 911. And I said, I need you to connect me with the local hospital in a hurry, please. And the psych department or whatever. I can't remember what I said, the emergency, I think. And then I just said to them, this is what's just happening to me, and I don't know what's happening. I need some help. And they actually managed to get me somebody immediately who talked me down. So, you know, they understood what causes that, right? I didn't understand what caused that, but they understood what can cause that. And they literally talked me down from that place, or up, depending on how you look at it. And then suggested that I come in and get some counseling around that issue, because obviously that was a major trigger that had been uncovered. And we know that because of what happened to my reaction. And so what I'm trying to say to everybody is, don't think that getting help is a one-time thing in your life. You know, you may need it 2 or 3 times. You may need it. You know, I say to people who are in need of medication, you may need to take that medication for the rest of your life to keep you okay. And that is okay if that's what you need. You know, the same way, if you had broken a leg, right, and you needed a cast for the rest of your life, you probably wouldn't think twice about it, all right? So understand that just because people can't see the hurt inside you doesn't mean it's not there, and that you do deserve the medical attention that you need. Not only that, keep going until you get it. All right. And if the first medical professional doesn't work for you, find another. You remember the story I told on Friday about Lizzie? Keep going until you find the help that you need. Don't give up trying to get the help. All right. You are worth fixing, if you like to word it that way. So I'd like to go on now and talk a little bit about some quotes that I hope will help some of you. And the first one said, don't be discouraged. It's often the last key in the bunch that opens the door. How many of you have had that experience? Which I know one of these keys does it, and it's nearly always the last one you try. How about, if one dream should fail and break into 1,000 pieces, never be afraid to pick up one of those pieces and begin again. I want to tell you, I have had that. I have literally felt my heart drop to the floor and break into 1,000 pieces, and then had to pick up piece by piece and try and put my heart back together again. And I've done it not once, but a few times in my life, and I'm not happy for that. Am I okay? Yes, I'm fine, thanks, Andy. So I want you to understand, though, that picking up that piece is the key. This might not, you know, I can look at, for example, my diabetes blood sugar readings are higher than I would like at the moment. And the thing is, I haven't failed, right? I've just got a new benchmark that I'm trying to work with. All right. And this is like, okay, something I am eating is causing this. So let me try and isolate what it is. Because on the whole, I'm eating a lot more healthily. So what is causing that sugar spike first thing in the morning? And, you know, that's what it's about. It's about finding out what it is. And, you know, there's part of me, I don't know if any of you relate to this. There's part of me. Hi there, Britt. How you doing? Britt, I want you to be really careful about what you say. This is YouTube. And I just want to warn you that YouTube really is very hard on their language here. So I just want to give you a heads up on that. All right. So if they think that what you're saying is any way out of the norm, they will punish it. I just want you to be aware. No, I know you haven't said anything. I want to give you a heads up. Do you understand the difference? I don't want that to happen to you. And that message just got taken down by YouTube. All right. Whatever you just said, they didn't like. That's what I was trying to warn you of. Okay, so don't be discouraged. It's often the last key in the bunch that opens the door. Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success and then gave up. All right? How close they were to success and then gave up. And that was said by Edison, and we believe that Edison tried to work out how to do the light bulb 30,000 times before it actually worked. Andy, well, how about you write me an email and we can work something out? Yeah, 30,000 times they reckon that he tried. He just never gave up on trying to build the light bulb. What he said was each time he failed, I found another way it doesn't work, which means I am one step closer to how it does. I wonder how many of you would keep trying something 30,000 times? One of the things that I know that people, what people advised about doing YouTube, for example, don't do YouTube if you want to be an instant success, because very few people are. Do YouTube because you love to do what you're doing. And be prepared to do it for a long time, because other than a very few, most people literally need to be broadcasting for maybe 10 years before anything happens, right? It's a really peculiar thing about life. And, you know, my attitude was, I don't care. I just want to do the work I do, all right? And that is the right reason to do it. The difference between perseverance and obstinacy, and that's important, is one that comes from a strong will. And there are others from a strong won't. All right? So some of you just want to keep on going. All right? And I really recommend that if this is whatever it is you want to do, you know, I'm thinking about the Brit here, you know, sing because you love to sing, not because you want to be famous. All right. If fame comes to you, that would be wonderful, Brit, but just sing because you love to do it. Do you understand? It's the same thing. I do artwork because it gives me pleasure. I'm not doing art to sell it. I'm doing art because of what it does for me. Right? And you know, that will give you a happy life. I am amazed how many people, you know, if you read biographies and things like that, you know, as the Brit says, not everybody can handle fame. Now, luckily, I've had fame in my life, so I know what it feels like and looks like, and I know how stressful it can be. And so to me, it's like, that's not something I am looking for in my life again, right? But what I do want to do is to be happy. And so the Brit, you know, I know how much joy you get out of singing, so keep going. And, you know, and it doesn't matter whether, you know, other people enjoy it, you do. And that is, I think, a really important part of your life. Louis Pasteur said, "Let me tell you the secret that has led me to my goal. My strength lies solely in my tenacity," right? His ability not to give up. And I think about why, if I think about my blood sugar readings, I know where the stress is coming from. I'm about to need to do another test. And I'm not going to do as well on that test as I did on the previous one. I know that already because of the figures that I've been documenting. And, that means that the doctor is not going to be as pleased with me. How many of you can see that? And then there's that little kid in me going, the doctor's not going to be happy. And I'm going, I don't want to worry about that anymore. All right. I can start off by going, okay, this is what's been happening. And I know it's going to be higher than normal. But I need to be grateful that it isn't some horrific number, that it is just a little above where it should be. All right. And that's, I can concentrate on that. Yes. The Brit is saying that my old Nan, that's grandmother, right, used to say, I'm going to do it in English. It doesn't matter. And I say that because the Brit talks Brit. It doesn't matter if you're no good if you aren't any good at something. It's something that you enjoy doing. If you love doing it, then there's more than enough reason to carry on. Yeah, I absolutely agree. All right. I don't have to be a brilliant artist. I need to enjoy what I do, and I surely do. The difference, Vince Lombardi said, the difference between a successful person and others is not the lack of strength, not a lack of knowledge, but rather a lack of will. I can remember years ago, somebody saying to me, gosh, I wish I could stand up on stage without notes and just talk the way you do for a couple of hours or an hour or whatever it was. And I said, I have the formula for you if you'd like to learn how to do it. And they said, yeah, really? And I said, try doing it for 20 years. What? I said, the reason I can stand up and talk for that length of time without any notes is I've got 20 years of experience sitting in my head. Does that make logical sense to anybody? It isn't that I'm some sort of wizard. It is because I've been doing it for 20 years. I've seen most of the things that are going to go wrong, so those things don't faze me as much as they would have done initially. And that's called experience. And experience is not something anybody can take away from you. I am amazed, for those of you who know my artwork, I am amazed how many people, I'm part of a group of people that do that sort of art. And new people want to know, how do I do that? Like tomorrow. And, they don't want to do the trial and error, the little bits of paper that I started with. They don't want to do that, right? They want to produce this huge thing immediately. So, no, I something, the British saying experience is a good thing. Most jobs want it now. And luckily for some, yes, that's something that always is so sad, isn't it? They want you to have experience, but they won't give you the experience, right? They won't give you the job that will give you the experience. So that is why a lot of people volunteer. And not even then, some volunteer positions need you to have experience before they will take you on as a volunteer, but not all. All right, so that is important to know. And it's not just, you can have experience and not get the job as well. So, yeah, that is true. Keep on going, and the chances are you will stumble across something, perhaps when you're least expecting it. I never heard of anyone stumbling on something sitting down. That was by Charles F. Kettering. Now, think about that, right? So if you're applying for jobs, but keep doing it. I know that you've been doing it for a while and you haven't had success yet, but keep going. Eventually, you are going to find somebody that wants you. It is like me trying to sell my house, Britt, right? I've shown it to this many people, but none of them liked it enough to buy it. One tried, but couldn't, and that person couldn't get the financing they needed. So I'm not angry about it. It's just the process. I know eventually somebody's going to want my home. Some lean back, but those who lean forward are poised to cross the finish line first. All right? I just keep having the right mentality and knowing that this is fine and all will unfold as it needs to. Though you may hear me holler and you may see me cry, I'll be dogged, sweet baby, if you're going to see me die. All right, so this is about, you can have a little temper tantrum and you can be upset, but you're not going to quit. Just going to keep going. And this is one very famous quote from Calvin Coolidge. And he said, nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. And persistent and determinations are omnipresent. The slogan, press on, has solved and always will solve the problems of the human race. We need to just keep taking the next best step. We may not be able to fix it all tomorrow. I am so aware that many of us thought when the shootings happened in Sandy Hook, that's it, they're going to change the laws now, and it didn't happen. And you know how many other people have died because of it? Do I think that the US is going to put in some sort of law to stop the wrong people having guns? I hope so. But with all due respect, until they see there's a difference between their Second Amendment rights and what is happening today, they've got to be able to differentiate that we're not talking about taking your guns away. You're still allowed, the right people are still allowed to have them. Just if you don't qualify for one, you're not going to get one. And I think they've got to somehow or other get that understanding. Remain calm through thick and thin. Hold tightly to your beliefs, knowing the time is not the enemy, but your closest ally. And Lady Aberdeen said the difference between difficult and the impossible is that the impossible takes a little longer time. Hi there, Linda. Good to see you. Patience and perseverance have a magical effect, before which difficulties disappear and obstacles vanish. Perseverance is not a long race. It's many short races, one after the other. How many of you know that one? All right. It's really making me smile because I was really aware that because of having my house on show a lot, it stifled my ability to do my artwork. And then what I decided was I need to do this differently. I need to do my artwork just one step at a time, not total chaos, just one step at a time. And so what I'm doing is I wake up in the morning and I say, is there a showing today? No, that means I can do some art. I just need to be able to not make too much mess and just take one more step forward. And, that might be painting the backs of some coasters or trivets or whatever. It's just, I might be mixing up new colors of paint, but I can do it. I just need to do little, smaller steps, not the total disaster area that I used to do. And so I would ask you to think about that. What is it that you cannot do the big picture of, but maybe you can do one small step on? Rivers know this. There is no hurry. We shall get there someday. It's interesting, the Brit is saying, I'm surprised you never went into teaching of some description, Sal. You don't see that is what I do, Brit? That's interesting. By the way, that rivers know this, there is no hurry. We shall get there someday. It came from Winnie the Pooh. Oh, why would I teach in a school when I can teach in the world, Brit? I just need to stop for a second. I can smell something in the kitchen that I shouldn't be smelling, and I'll be right back. Just hold on. Okay. Anybody want to know what it was? I'm sitting here going, I can smell fat burning. And my logic, as I was thinking about that, was I don't have anything cooking that should have fat burning. That's what confused me while I was sitting here. And then I went out, and what I realized was I had turned on my barbecue. And obviously that's where the fat is burning. And I came back the first time, and just as I was about to sit down, I thought, let me double check that there's nothing in the barbecue that is burning before I sit down again. And that's what I went to double check. And for those of you who want to know, what are you having for dinner tonight, sir? Obviously, you think it includes the barbecue. Yes, it will. And I turned it on before I started the broadcast because I like to do my vegetables on the barbecue. As you know, I have a mat on it. But we're having beef and Yorkshire pudding and all the trimmings tonight. I just thought it was time. Abraham Lincoln, listen to this. He said, I am a slow walker, but I never walk back. The Brit said, I wish I'd had a teacher like you at school. I might have learned something. Well, you know something, what I've discovered in life, Brit, is that whatever it is we want to learn, we will find, the teacher when we're ready. I was not particularly good at math. And it's really strange, isn't it, that when I went into business, I kept getting jobs that required me to literally do incredible spreadsheets and things with multi-million-dollar deals and all sorts of things. And I'm going, I loved it. I loved it. And so this was like, it wasn't that I wasn't good at it. I just didn't have a reason to be good at it. And, when I found the reason to be good at it, I learned very quickly. And I think that is the difference, Britt. When you want to learn something, you have learned an incredible amount of stuff around the computer because you wanted to. And I think we forget that when we have motivation, it really is a great thing to help us learn. Jody always laughs at me because I will not be beaten by my computer. It really, when my computer starts to, when I can't do something on my computer, I literally see it as a competition. The computer just beat me on this one. It's not going to continue, and I will keep working at it until I found the answer. All right, so Albert Einstein said, "It's not that I'm so smart, it's that I stay with the problems longer." And that is exactly my thinking about when something on the computer is causing me an issue. I know I just haven't played with it long enough. I haven't played with it long enough for it to make sense in my brain, but it will. And have any of you done that famous trick on your computer where you accidentally hit a series of keys together and it did exactly what you wanted it to do yesterday? And then you have no idea what you did. And it was like, what did I do? And it's so funny because I cannot tell you how many times I just sat there and tried to recreate that combination to find out what on earth did I do? Or have you accidentally, I've done this a number of times with my computer, where I hit a combination of strokes together and it turned it from landscape to portrait. And now I've got to, try and type like this and going, I don't know how I did that. But luckily, it's possible to take out another device and go to Uncle Google and ask him. So think about this one. The greatest oak was once a little nut who held his ground. Isn't that wonderful? I think that's wonderful. Yes, the Brit's saying that he actually pays a company to help him when he hits computer problems. And they can hack into your computer at their end and help you. Yes, something, I pay an amount of money as well every month so that I can have that happen. So I don't have to take it into, 9 times out of 10, if I haven't been able to solve it, it probably isn't solvable, though. I do know that now. Because almost every time I've had them hack in, as you call it, they actually can get into your screen with your permission and check it out. But 9 times out of 10, I am pretty sure that whatever the problem is not something they're going to be able to fix, because if that were possible, I'd probably have fixed it already. But it's worth it to know that I wasn't wrong. The confrontation between the stream and the rock. The stream always wins, not through strength, but perseverance. All right, can you see that? That, if you are a rock and the stream is coming down, it's going to start off by going around the rock. But, slowly, year after year, it's going to water will literally carve away rock. Isn't that amazing? And how many of you have seen incredible rock formations that literally have been carved by wind? All right, just year after year, the wind going around them has started to erase part of the rock. It is incredible. Age wrinkles the body. Quitting wrinkles the soul. All right, how about that? Age wrinkles the body. Quitting wrinkles the soul. And Jim Rohn said, how long should you try? His answer was, until. How long do you want to chase your goals, your dreams, How long will I continue this journey to lose, my goal to become overweight? I don't want to be obese anymore. I just want to be overweight now. How long am I going to chase that dream until I get there? Hi, Nada. Good to see you. And a quick hug to you, too. Perseverance is just such an important part of our life. I am amazed how many people really don't have the wish or the will to try it one more time. And I say that because there's so many things in my life, whether it's woodwork or whatever it is that I've done in my life. And people say to me, how did you learn how to do that? I said, I tried. What? Well, I can remember, I don't know if any of you can relate to this. I can remember buying, I think they call it a band now. I think it's a bandsaw. It's vertical. And it's very dangerous because it's a saw going up and down and it's facing you. And I bought this thing because it was at a really good price in the store that I was in. And I'm going, that's a really useful thing to have. I wonder how it works. And do you know, I was so scared of it because it looked so dangerous that I literally had it on my workshop bench in the days when I could still drive my car into my garage. And I would drive my car in and look at it every night. And I think I looked at it for over a month before I took the car out of the garage and went, now let me see how this thing works. I was that scared of it. Can you believe it? And the funny thing was, it had my respect. I knew it could take off a hand if I wasn't careful. So I was willing to actually be very respectful of it. Failure is often that early morning hour of darkness, which precedes the dawning of the day of success. All right. So that is literally what it was for me, right? I just had to look at it long enough until it wasn't so strange anymore. Does that make sense? I needed to look at it until I wasn't scared of it anymore. Right. So big hugs, Nada. I'm going to respect your wish, but listen to all the quotes on here. Yeah, that happens sometimes. You know how to contact me, right? Just write to me, Nada, and no problem. We can do this. You know that. So proud of you. The brick walls are there for a reason. The brick walls are not there to keep us out. The brick walls are there to give us a chance to show how badly we want something. Because the brick walls are there to stop the people who don't really want it badly enough. They're there to stop the other people. Think about that, Nada. How badly do you want this? Keep going. Well, that's beautiful. I'm glad that you did. Big hugs. Sometimes you must cross a bridge, and other times you need to burn it. But always keep building one and never lose your faith in life. How many of you remember Nelson Mandela? And he said, amongst many other great things, that he said that it always seems impossible until it's done. I thought it was impossible to clean up my house enough to be able to put it on show. And then I was really convinced that if I ever got that clean, I'd never be able to keep it that way. All right. And I thought that once I got it ready to show, I'd need to leave the house and let them try and sell it. But the funny thing is that I am learning how to be that tidy in a couple of hours. Even if I've made a mess, I know exactly how to get it back to where it needs to be in a couple of hours, which gives me great confidence. The bend in the road is not the end of the road, unless you fail to make that turn. Isn't that true? When you look down a road and it takes a corner, it looks like it's the end of the road until you get there. And when you get there, you realize it just took a right. I couldn't see that from where I was. Helen Keller said that. And how many of you have been in this place? You may have to fight a battle more than once to win it. You may need to fight a battle more than once to win it. Margaret Thatcher said that. Yeah, no, that we don't know what's around the corner. I want to tell you, when I was in the darkest place of my life, I was so grateful that I could always remind myself, I have no idea what tomorrow is going to bring. It could be the answer to everything. And one day it was. It's really weird, isn't it? That one day it was the answer. It wasn't the one I wanted, I can tell you that, but I realized what was wrong. And I realized only I could fix it by working on it. Yes, I'm quite certain, and the British saying, we don't even know if there is a tomorrow, right? Yeah. I'm certain all those people who went off shopping to Walmart and that didn't come home, they sure as heck didn't know that was their last day. So we just need to be aware. I just managed to nuke the page that I had all the quotes on, so let me carry on. All right, this is a really famous thing from Rudyard Kipling, and I'm certain a lot of you have heard this before, but it's always worth listening to. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, by making allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait until not be tired by waiting or being lied about, or don't deny the lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they're gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and, which is more, you'll be a man my son. Isn't that true? Nada is asking if I have ever thought about doing a video of reading a book. I think, I'm not sure about that, but I think that would breach a copyright. Samuel Beckett said, all of old, nothing else ever tied, ever failed, no matter, try again, fail better. Isn't that so true? And Winston Churchill said, it's not enough that we do our best. Sometimes we must do what is required. That's my journey of losing weight, I think. Should you shield the cannons from the windstorm, you would never see the true beauty of their carvings. Should you shield the canyons from the windstorm, all right? You remember what I was saying? There are some incredible canyons that have just been carved out by the wind. So comes snow after fire, and even dragons have their endings. It's from J.R.R. Tolkien from The Hobbit. That's wonderful that you do that, Nada. Nada's saying, you know, that they have a book club where they read a chapter and then discuss it. That's wonderful to do. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is a little voice at the end of the day that says, I'll try again tomorrow. How many of you have ever been there where you just go, let me just try for one more day? I know I have. Harper Lee in To Kill a Mockingbird said, real courage is when you know you're licked before you even begin. But you begin anyway and see it through no matter what. You see, sometimes you've got to lose enough to win. You've got to lose enough to win. You know, I had to be in that dark place enough to know I didn't want to be there anymore, and I learned the skill to get out. And I want to tell you, once out of that dark place, and I'd spent so much of my life there, once out of that dark place, I vowed I would not go back, right? That I now knew I could get out, and I knew how to do it. Isn't that wonderful? Britt, may I quote that you have just typed? Because I think that is so true. That, you know, and it's wonderful that you can see the upside. Yeah, the Brit, for those of you who don't know, suffers from Asperger's. And he said the advantage of having Asperger's is the obsession nature of it. It won't let you quit. It becomes like a vendetta to me. Yeah, a vendetta, right? Because of the autism. And, I totally love the fact you can see that it has an upside. All right. And this is the whole thing, that there is an upside to every disability. People are given other gifts. All right. And, it's so important to understand that. My hearing is failing. but I'm so grateful that my sight is still there, and so is my voice, right? And that I can still use those too, and that I can, find other ways to hear if necessary at the moment. I don't know for how long. But, I realized that it wasn't that what was it I noticed? My tablet. It wasn't that the sound wasn't good enough. It was that my ears weren't. Isn't that amazing? And, once I realized that, I went, oh, I guess I do have quite a serious problem. And the only way that I could find that out was to have somebody with good hearing tell me that, no, that actually is plenty loud enough. What does selective hearing mean? Britta asked me. All right. Have you heard the expression, none are so deaf as those that will not hear? Britt, have you ever heard that? That means that we only hear what we want to hear. None is so deaf as those that will not hear. So I could say to somebody, what you really might want to do is stop eating sugar. But, they so want to carry on eating sugar, all right, that they don't want to hear that. That's selective hearing. All right? So you only hear, that's a very British expression. Brit's saying it's like pulling a deafie. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. I don't want to hear that. A wise man will make more opportunities than he finds. And how about this incredible quote from Marilyn Monroe? Just because you fail once doesn't mean you're going to fail at everything. Right? And how many people do that? Right? How many people think just because they didn't get it right the first time, they don't even bother to try a second time? How did I learn to use that incredibly dangerous looking bandsaw thing that I had? Boy, I want to tell you, the first day, my goal, my goal after I took the car out was, today I just need to try turning it on. It was just like, I literally was going, and you go, and go, oh, turn that off. But you see, I took another step towards getting more brave with the saw. And then the next thing was, I need to get a piece of wood in there and see what it does. Well, I got news for you. I am so glad I was wearing my safety goggles, because that piece of wood caught and it flew up in the air. And I learned the lesson, which is, if you're going to put a piece of wood near that thing, you need to be holding on to it really well. That's called experience. And then eventually I learned how to carve with it. And it was just like so exciting. And then, of course, I overstepped my brilliance and broke the saw blade. And it's just, if you think about it, it's like life. Okay, Nada, no problem. Hugs 1,000 times back at you. You can do this and we'll be here. Churchill again said, never give in. Never give in. Never, never, never. In nothing, or great or small, large or petty, never give in. Except to convictions of honor and good sense. Never yield to force. Never yield to the apparently overwhelming might of the enemy. And sometimes the enemy is your little inner child saying you can't. Never give in. Always look forward. Tomorrow will be a better day if we do the right work. And Martin Luther, the original one, said, even if I knew that tomorrow the world was going to end in pieces, I would still plant my apple tree. Isn't it amazing? Even if I knew tomorrow the world would go to pieces, I would still plant my apple tree. That is faith. And again, you never know what's around the corner. It could be everything, or it could be nothing. You keep putting one foot in front of the other, and then one day you look back and you've climbed a mountain. No, there's Martin Luther King, the later one. The original Martin Luther was way back. Let me not pray to be sheltered from danger, but to be fearless in facing them. How many of you realize that it's not unusual to have challenges in our life? It is usual. That's part of life. There are going to be some days that are easier than others. There are going to be some things that happen in our life that remind us we didn't plan properly. There are going to be some things that happen in our life that say, wow, I really would have done better to have a plan B on this one, but I didn't. So what am I going to do? You know, that is what life is about. It's just one step at a time, learning. I don't think we ever stop learning, to be honest. And let me not beg for the stilling of my pain, but for the heart to conquer it. All right? Roy T. Bennett said, live the life of your dreams. When you start living the life of your dreams, there will always be obstacles, doubters, mistakes, and setbacks along the way. But with hard work, perseverance, and self-belief, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Yeah, it's interesting, Britt. One of the things that people like Benji and Cisco and my other adopted sons say to me is the most important lesson they ever learned from me was plan A rarely works. Make sure you have plan B and preferably C and D. Okay. And, you know, it's amazing how many times they have come back to me over the years and, you know, many years now and said, boy, I'm so glad I had a plan B ready. And thank you for teaching me that. Yes, because it's so rarely does the world ever take you in a perfectly easy line. You know, you have to be ready to face anything. Did you know that the lotus is the most beautiful flower whose petals open one by one? It will only grow in the mud. In order to grow, gain wisdom, first you must have mud. The obstacles of life and its suffering. The mud speaks of the common ground that humans share, no matter what our stations in life. Whether we have it all or we have nothing, we are all faced with some obstacles, the same sadness, loss, illness, dying, and death. If we are to strive as human beings to gain more wisdom, more kindness, and more compassion, we must have the intention to grow as a lotus and open each petal one by one. Isn't that lovely? Like, okay, let me learn how to open this petal first. Once I've got this petal open, now let me work on the other one. And the rest of me is still in the mud. How many of you have felt that feeling? Let me just get that petal open, and then I'll deal with the rest of life. Right? And oh, now I'll get this petal open. And by the way, You will never believe who said that. Goldie Hawn. How about that? Ovid said, dripping water hollows out stone, not through force, but through persistence. Now, the king, Elvis, said, when things go wrong, don't go with them. How about that? When things go wrong, don't go with them. And Babe Ruth, the well-known baseball player, said, every strike brings me closer to the next home run. You know, he knew that he would never just do brilliant home runs. He knew that he had to do enough strikeouts to get the amazing home runs that he did. And that's called reality, all right? He didn't think that he was always going to hit the perfect home run. He knew that some wouldn't line up properly. And it wasn't lack of talent on his part or whatever. It could be that the pitcher just pitched a bad ball. But, you know, he never expected every single hit to be a home run. And I think so often people who spend a lot of time in depression want everything to be perfect. They just don't want to cope with life as it is. They want to cope with life as they would like to see it in Disneyland. Yes, you're right, Britt. You know, he didn't expect a miracle. He knew there was reality. And again from Nelson Mandela, he said, I have walked that long road to freedom. I have tried not to falter, and I have made missteps along the way. But I have discovered the secret that after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. I have taken a moment here to rest, to steal a view of the glorious vista that surrounds me, to look back on the distance I have come. But I can only rest for a moment, for with freedom comes responsibilities, and I dare not to linger, for my long walk is not ended. I think that is also so true of mental health. That is so true of emotional intelligence. That is so true of so many things in our life, right? We just need to take that one step. But that one step is only one of many, right? And then when we're solid on this step, we can take another step. And sometimes life will push us back a few, but that's okay. We know we've been here, we can get back there more quickly, and then we can carry on again. Go back, he thought. No, not good at all. Go sideways, impossible. Go forward. Only thing to do, on we go. So up he got and trotted along with his little sword held in front of him and one hand feeling the wall, and his heart all of a patter and a pitter. Again, another quote from The Hobbit. Great stories are told about life. All right? If you think about how many great movies were made about what it's like to live life. And you know, it is so funny, if you want to, almost any movie can be a lesson in life if you want to watch it from that perspective. And Edison, again, the light bulb guy, said the three greatest essentials to achieve anything worthwhile are first, hard work. Second, stick to it, ibness, right? And third, common sense. All right? If this way doesn't work, let me try another way. Don't let me keep repeating this way I know doesn't work. Now, I think that for some of us, this next quote is just so true. When you come to the end of your rope, tie a knot and hang on. And then there's part of me, by the way, that was from Roosevelt, there's part of me that goes, tie a knot and hang on long enough until you can get another rope to tie to it. Right. Margaret Mitchell, who you all remember wrote Gone with the Wind, she actually in Gone with the Wind said, hardships make or break people. Right? I think you get to know people's strength of character or their strength of being, watching them deal with life. You know, I speak so often of the incredible joy I have knowing people like Erin or Jody or you know, Kimmy or anybody else that struggles on a day-to-day basis with some sort of challenge. And, you know, Leslie in Scotland, when she had agoraphobia and couldn't leave the house for 3 years, you know, I think anybody that overcomes something like that is incredible. And I look at Erin, who is coping with so much at the moment, with her father dying of cancer, and she, you know, being in a situation where she cannot be there with him, but still hanging on with such incredible courage and such incredible attitude. You know, that to me is wonderful. Or Jody, who, you know, went to all this trouble to get another insurance provider so she could get the means to be able to get to appointments because her car failed on her and she didn't have the money for a new car. And she battled with that for, it must have been a year at least, and then got a new provider. And then today, if you can believe it, out of nowhere, got a letter to say she had been approved, you know, to get we call it a handy dart in Canada. I don't know what it's called in America, but, you know, the service where there is a special bus service, especially for people who have wheelchairs. And she just got approved for it, which means she can go to the mall. You know, so I said to her, you know, please, 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 that is such incredible news, plan a trip. Not only can she get to her appointments now, her medical appointments, without having to plan them so terribly well, but now she can actually go to the mall, maybe go to the food court and eat fries, you know. I would definitely plan, you know, something that you haven't done for years, Jody. And I am, you know, I want to tell you, when I read that just made my day. I went, isn't that incredible? But you see, the reason you got it, Jody, is you didn't get up. You didn't give up. You kept trying to get it. You kept doing whatever it needed to be done so that you could get it. And I am certain an awful lot of people would give up way before you and would be complaining that, you know, they never got it. You just didn't give up. You know, Charles Jones said, things don't go wrong and break your heart so you can become bitter and give up. They happen to break you down and build you up so you can be all that you were intended to be. And Charles Borowski said, I wish to weep, but sorrow is stupid. I wish to believe, but belief is a graveyard. You see, we can be sad, but if we stay sad, it's not helping anybody. All right, I've said this many times. I lost a friend this week. I can be sad, but it's not going to help my friend. All right? I can be sad, and guess what? I might get lots of sympathy from you guys, but it's not going to change anything. I'm just going to get lots of attention. I don't want that attention. I want to feel sad that that friend has passed, but happy that I got to know him and enjoy him, and that he taught me a lesson I will never forget. I And I think that it is very personal, right? It's like, I don't need everybody to feel sorry for me. It's part of life. I can think about, Beth losing Peanut. And, Peanut passed this week. And you're going, I am certain her heart is broken for Peanut because Peanut was around for nearly 20 years. Yeah. Oh, and there she is. Wow, isn't that incredible? All right, let me read a couple of notes here. And the Brit says, I use your saying to this day, Sal, it is what it is. Yeah. And Jody's saying, if I had given up, then the answer would have been a certain no. At least I wanted to try and be approved. Well, you didn't just try, Jody. You did what it took to be approved. And the Brit said, and that got me through. It is what it is, and continues to get me through a lot. Yeah. Well done, Brit. That's emotional intelligence, right? And Beth saying, hey guys, I've been ghosting today. I just needed to hear my Sal's voice to keep me together. Oh. Yeah, and the Brit saying sometimes you just got to fight for what you want. And I assure you, Jody did that. And hi, Isabel, you've been in the background too. But you came out, of course, to support Beth. Why am I not surprised? And so this is what it is. I want to finish by reminding everybody that this 2 major shootings in a 12-hour period is going to have an emotional effect. And if we choose to dwell on that fear and that emotion, it will bring us down. Or we can do exactly what we have done. We can actually find something that's positive, and listen to it. Or some music that we love and be enthralled with it. Or maybe, Britt, not just sing somebody else's song. Maybe we write one, the one we've always wanted to write. And so to me, this is like what we do to help ourselves, what we do to not give in to this emotion, all right, is what will make the difference in our lives. The reason Jody now has the bus service she deserves is because she didn't quit on herself. Not everybody else. She actually spent time helping herself. And that is so true. Bye-bye, Britt. That is so true for so many of us. We spend so much time helping everybody else, but we forget to look after ourselves, which is why you will hear me say at the end of almost every vlog, it's great to look after one another, but please, please, please remember to look after yourself. You see, Jody, you did that. I want you to put a giant, did I look after myself? Yes. How do I know that? I got what I wanted out of life. All right. That is just what I wanted. And so how long will it take me to sell my house, people? It will take as long as it takes. I have to decide, do I want to drop it by another huge amount of money, knowing that that is the amount of money that I am meant to have to live on for the rest of my life? Do I want to drop another great chunk of that and know I have to live a different life because I've needed to drop the price some more? That will be my choice. Oh, Beth, in one of the broadcasts I did on Friday, I shared a really important thing that Nana taught me. Do you want me to repeat it now? And I always remember Nana teaching me this when I lost Bean Bean. Yeah. When you know it's time to remove the empty bed and his toys and things, by the way, I would take them and donate them to your local SPCA or whatever it's called, the local pound or whatever, take his stuff and donate them, all right? So that he can make other dogs happy and another dog can have a warm bed. You know what I mean? But here's what Nana taught me, and she was so right. She said, think about the one place where you always saw him. And for me, Beth, it was when I drove home at night, he was always at the front door. My front door has a window right next to it. And he was at the front door looking at me when my car drove in. He could hear my car from 5 miles away. And so he was always sitting at the front door window looking for me. And when my car actually turned into the driveway, he would get up and then you could see his whole body was wagging his tail, right? It wasn't, he wagged his tail with his whole body. And it was such an interesting moment for me because Nana said, think about that one place that no longer will have him there. And she said, put something beautiful in that place. And I went, okay, what can I get that's beautiful? And I got a beautiful orchid. And so that every day when I came home from work, Beth, what I looked at was not the blank space. I looked at this wonderful orchid and I smiled and went, hi, Bean. It was an amazing difference. And so what I would do is when you remove the bed, there's going to be a blank space. Get something new in your life, maybe a really nice house plant or something. Get something really beautiful and put it there because you will never forget Peanut. And what I want you to do is to be able to smile at the beautiful thing and say, hi, Peanut. You're so beautiful. Yeah, and Beth is saying he was my friend when I kept myself in the dark for all those years. And that's why I'm saying, give yourself something that gives you great joy and put it in that place, all right? And if that's where you spent a lot of time sitting, looking at him in his bed, then that would be the place I would put something really magical. And, spend a day, if you can, going, maybe going to find the perfect thing that will represent him in your life. And, just be aware that, my orchid eventually died. But you know something? By the time it did, it had done its job. And I just bought another orchid and put it in the place. So think about that. I am off to go cook dinner. And so I wish you all a wonderful week. If you get control of your emotion, you can take yourself out of this dark place. You just need to do the right things. You just need to be aware that there is a tomorrow if you want there to be. All right? You can just hang on for another day. And that you can, if you choose to, you have so much at your disposal with the internet and everything else. You can literally play positive things to yourself every day. All right, you can do that, or you can stay in a dark place. It has totally to be your choice. And if you fill your days with good thoughts and good things that you're hearing, you will be happier. But if you hear good things and say that's for other people, not for people like me, then you do not realize, nor do you appreciate that every human being on this planet has good days and bad days. They have joys and losses. They have health and illnesses. You alone are not the person with the bad stuff. Everybody deals with bad stuff. The difference between happy people and miserable ones is what they do with their lives. They are grateful for every day. And if they can't be grateful for today, then they go, I'm grateful that there hopefully will be a tomorrow. And I choose to hang on until tomorrow and start again. And that is what I would wish for everybody, is to understand that. I have been rock bottom on depression. I was there for a long time, quite honestly. But you know something? There is hope. I did manage to find the tools I needed to get myself out. And you know, I also realize that every day I work on the tools to keep myself out. All right? It's not a maybe. I know that Jody in her lifetime got given a diagnosis that would have really been one that most people wouldn't be able to cope with. And then she overcame cancer. And then, boom, got hit with lymphedema instead. I cannot imagine what that roller coaster was like. But you know, she's still here and she chooses to be our admin and she chooses to help me look good every week. I thank you, Jody. And Beth, I look at all that you've done. I look at Erin and I look at all of you and the Brit in England, right? All of you, what you cope with on a daily basis is amazing. And I am so proud of you and I am delighted to be in your life. And I hope to continue to be so because you, in living your life with your challenges, help so many other people. This is DearMamaSal saying have a wonderful week and keep persevering. Look after one another, but please, please, please continue to look after yourself. This is DearMamaSal saying, roast beef and Yorkshire pudding. Here I come. Bye-bye for now.